America, I'd like to discuss the situation with you because I know there's probably other families out here that's gone through this. I live in a high-rise, luxury apartment building, and I've been here for 13 years. And amongst them 13 years, I have been racially discriminated against, and it went to the point where it affected my health. I stutter now, I shake when I get upset. The doctors that have been treating me have addressed this as a hate crime. And the reason why I want to share this with y'all, because this is housing here in Boston. And the company that I'm referring to is called Peabody Properties. Peabody Properties, when I moved in here 13 years ago, I've always felt a spirit of rejection. But in 2018, around May of that year, I got a demand letter and a notice to quit for $1,800. I've been here 5 years before then, and I paid my rent every month. And I made sure, and I kept my rent receipts. So when I got that, I was kind of shocked into saying that, why would they say I owe this kind of money? That's even more than what my share of costs would be. That's what made Boston Housing Authority take notice. By June of that year, they had me owing almost $4,000. And the reason for this is what to scare me out of my unit. They thought that if I owed this and they were threatening to get their lawyers on me, that I would back up and run like a thief in the night. But I wasn't raised that way, and I wasn't going to let that happen. So they tried to evict me, and I got assistance with RAP to pay them this money. And I got a letter that said RAP was closing the case because Peabody Properties refused to take the check. And the reason why they did that, because they knew that they would defraud the government. On the other hand, I got a lawyer from Greater Boston Legal Services because I was notified by the property manager, Ms. Charmaine Charles. She told me, if you owe a dime, they're going to come after you, basically. And I just want to give you the heads up. At that time, we had that conversation on that Friday. She told me Peabody Property is racist. And by the grace of God, I had to go down. I went to go down to the courthouse and complain about this. And my best friend at the time, Cindy, we just happened to leave my apartment and go in the lobby, and we see the property manager. So Cindy decided that she's going to record the conversation. And in this conversation, she was referring to Peabody Properties not knowing how to talk or handle people like me, and or minorities or Latinos or whatever. And she said, at the end of the day, we all contribute to society, and therefore, you know, we should be treated justified. But she told me that they're building this community that I live in now to look like another Copley Square. If those of you not familiar with Copley Square, Copley Square where they had the marathon bombing, and I live very close to where this area is. So what they're basically saying, they're building all of these luxury apartments, and she's told me that they're worse on the blacks than they are the Hispanics. And she said, they don't want your kind in here. But I already had this case in with MCAD because of the overchargement of the rent and the underchargement of Boston Housing Authority. That's how they were coming at me with this rent thing. So the lawyers at Greater Boston Legal Services said, Ms. McLeod, you didn't owe none of that money. I said, I know. She said, you need to sue them. I can't get a lawyer here to pick up this case, and MCAD don't exist don't exist in Boston. For 2 years, I've been trying to get them. I spoke with a city council woman, Miss Anderson, who's been following this case, and I was about to give up because MCAD said they couldn't find no findings. Now, MCAD, Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination, had me sign 4 releases, one to talk to two to talk to different doctors, one to talk to Greater Boston Legal Services, and Boston Housing Authority had condemned this place unsafe for me mentally and physically, and my doctors has written a letter as such too. And so they had me sign releases, but they never interviewed them. Now, they were trying to get me out of this, but they wound up getting evicted themselves from the property. The owners, the community builders, came in and said, no, you got to go. Then they came back and apologized to me. They told me I deserved to live here. They brought my cat what do you call it?
Litter box.
Cleaning litter box, and they got my dog something, and they were saying, you deserve to live here. And they said, you don't have to worry about Peabody Properties or the lawyers anymore. Now, Miss Charmaine Childs was working for Peabody Properties as a property manager. And they tried to fire her before the owners came in. And they said, no, she's not going anywhere because we like the way she manages and makes the guests feel. They said, you're leaving. So they evicted them. But she told MCAD, she requested, she said, as long as MCAD calls me, she said, I will tell them everything. And I will tell them, because she even spoke in front of the owners here, she said they really did a job on her. All the harassments and different things that they made my life so uncomfortable here. That kind of abuse was mental and it was physical, because my diabetes now was so under control because I was basically in a fetal position. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. I felt like my apartment, the only room I used was my bedroom because I was afraid every month of seeing them notices up underneath my door. But I have an issue with Boston police as well, because Peabody Properties, can I show them my door, Anthony? I was in my bed, and my son came and got me. I had 2 sore knees. This is my door. He said, wait a minute, I gotta get my mother because she's not dressed. So when I came to the door like this, and I went to open my door to see who it was. This woman busted in my door, excuse me, and caused me to fall back like that. Now, legally, they can't come to my apartment until they give me 24-hour notice. But Charmaine Childs, in that conversation we had that Friday before my friend Cindy recorded it, that was her training day. And she told Miss Charmaine before she knocked on my door, I'm going to show you how to handle these kind of people. Okay. So I guess Miss Charmaine kind of took a liking to me, because she told one of the employees downstairs, can't remember his name off the hand, and he asked, why are they doing this to her? Isn't she disabled? And she responded in saying, and this is on audio as well, yeah, how would you like it if it was your grandmother or your mother that they're doing this to? So, going back to Boston police, that assault that happened, the lady came in my house and she went through this bit right here. This is funny. And she told the manager to come in, which was, the manager was scared too because she knew it was a violation of my tenant rights. Say, oh, cigarette smoke is coming from the vent. Then I got a letter from the lawyer's office right after that saying that I'm in violation of my rights as a tenant. This is the kind of episodes that they would do. And that I need to cease and resist and leave this apartment because I violated my lease. And the evidence they had, they said, was ashes on the windowsill. Now you cannot raise up that window but 4 inches maybe, and you cannot lift up that screen. So I must apparently while I'm in bed, can come in this living room and magically slip a cigarette butt through the screen and dump ashes out there in February, Valentine's Day, in the wintertime. And everybody knows it's breezy and cold in Boston around that time. Most people should know. So it took me a year to file a police report because when I wanted to report the injury, I have the police report. I have a lot of documents. The cop that I spoke with said that, he said, did you open your door? I said, yes, I had to see who it was. He said, then you let them in. I said, no. I said, you have to be invited in. He said, ma'am, did you open your door? And I said, yeah. Then you let him in. There's no there. So it wasn't until Miss Charmaine contacted me and told me, you gotta get all your papers in order because they're coming after you, that I got a hold of Internal Affairs and I asked them what's the statutory on filing an assault charge. And they even asked me, well, what do you know about the statute of laws? I'm like, wow. And I told him, I know, okay? So I explained to him what happened and how they refused to let me have my date in court. That the policemen over here protecting Peabody properties and not giving me my just cause to pursue this kind of racism and hatred that was being, this kind of harassment that was being done to me. So the Internal Affairs told me to call up District 13 and you tell them to come to your house and do that police report. So on the day that I'm calling them back and telling them what Internal Affairs said, they looked it up and they said, ma'am, this happened over a year ago. I said, yes, but you wouldn't let me do the report a year ago. And then he kept going on, but why do you want us to come out there now? This happened a year ago. And I said, look, because you wouldn't do the report. I said, look, I'll just call Internal Affairs and tell them to give me a hard time. And then he changes the subject and he said, oh, that's that new building. Isn't that a nice building? That's a nice building, isn't it? So I had to say, what are you trying to say? That, what is your description of me that you think that this building, I should keep quiet and no matter what they do to me, this is a nice building. I said, let me tell you something. I said, I grew up in Mattapan. There's a Boston Globe article, if you check my Facebook, tells you, in 1971, my mother got her kids off of welfare. The first black person in Boston. Okay, now think about that because I'm going to bring that back up again. Now, Mayor Monty Wash, love him to death. I wish he'd come back to being our mayor. I don't know if you can see this picture, kind of dull and dingy. But that's Mayor Monty Wash and that's me. They invested $5 million into this park, which is right by my mother's house. And on that day, my mother got his attention. And she said, you promised me that you were going to come by and take a tour through my Heritage Museum. And there's pictures of my mother, my brother, and me. And on the day, she had exhibits out in the yard. And she also had exhibits on the inside where he reviewed it. My mother got a call from him. I can't remember exactly when, but he said, Miss Claudette, he said, you know, I forgot to decorate my mayor's office for Black History Month. He said, can you come and decorate my office? And my mother said, sure. So my mother, Audrey, and I spent the day decorating the mayor's office. And he gave her a spot in his museum to, on the first floor so she could advertise her heritage stuff. Now my mother is also, I think I picked her book up. She's also an author. And in 1971, my mother, there was 3 of us, like it says in the article, she put all of her kids through Catholic school. And back in that days, my mother paid $500 per child, $1,500 every year, so that we can have the best education that we could get in Boston. So now I can understand, I rode around in nothing but Cadillacs. My mother owned a shop for over 40 years in Boston. And she had one in Roxbury, and then she moved and had two of them in Mattapan. Okay. My mother was a well-known hairdresser. She used to have hair shows at the Blue Hill Country Club, and that's way out past Milton. So we had a good life. And for them to think that I'm some kind of low, I don't know what they would think, because poor don't make you any rotten than anybody else. And to think that because you feel that all black people don't have education or not intelligent enough, that we're all dumb and could be taken advantage of. So Boston police was protecting Peabody properties. So I finally got my day to go to court, and this was assigned to a Detective Becker. Let me show you how corrupt Boston police is. I had an issue, and I had it with Internal Affairs. The guy that handled this case was Paul Joseph. Okay. And finally got down to the ending. He had a year to investigate this detective. See, because the detective, when they made the police report, he filed charges against Peabody properties. And he said that I'm going to charge them with with assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, your door. Okay. So he said, you don't need to call me no more. He said, I'll inform you when you have to go through the magistrate. In the meantime, he came out here to see Miss Charmaine Charles, but he came with the wrong date. He came said, I'm here to investigate something that happened around May. And Miss Charmaine said, it can't be because I went away to have an operation. So he's going to refer to me as being mental. Excuse me, because if I don't laugh about this sometimes, I'm going to cry. And he said, but therefore I'm going to close this case. So I told the lawyer this, that Greater Boston Legal Service, she said, that's discrimination. And I told this to my doctor on the same day. That's discrimination. I wasn't even thinking about that. But anyway, MCAD had this information. They also had the audio that they asked me for with the, I think it's about a 20-minute video that she describing the mistreatment and the racial difference about who they want to allow in their buildings and who they don't. So the day of the court, I go. Detective Becker is a no-show. He said he can't be there. And the judge looked at me and he said that unfortunately the detective isn't here. And I don't believe that they came in your apartment like that, using your door to try to kill you. He said, I can't rule on this. But he said, I'm glad you got this with MCAD. He said, you're going in the right direction with this. Okay. So I figured that, okay, it's in the hands of them, but all of a sudden I started to realize, I said, damn, this man sabotaged my case. So by the time that Paul Joseph, the Internal Affairs guy, looked at this and he said, he interviewed me, he showed me a picture of a policeman in a uniform, and I'm looking at this, I said, who's that? My son's like, Ma, that's him. And I said, oh. And I knew he knew as an investigator that I'd never seen this man before. So they're under investigation to see if they follow police procedure. And she's ready to tell you how corrupt Boston police is and the detectives. So he asked my son, he said, were you there when this happened? My son said, yes. He said, did you witness the assault? My son said, yes. He said, did Detective Becker interview you? My son said, no. Detective Becker never came here to interview me as the victim, and then didn't volunteer to see if there was any witnesses to this. So he invented his own charge. That's why he didn't show up at court. Now, So these two policemen, one is the cop that got the call when Internal Affairs told him to come and do that police report. He didn't like it. So the police report he did was a falsified police report. He stated on there that this is a case about eviction. And he then put my, as the caller, the reason why I wanted to file a report about the assault so that I can have my day in court with it. But he wanted the report to look like I was a grudging, non-paying rent person, because ain't nobody gonna believe me. You know, they're gonna take the credibility of Peabody Properties and the police. But they picked with the wrong person, because I wasn't gonna get up and leave my apartment and abandon a fear of somebody treating me and degrading me that caused me, I got neuropathy in my feet because I was unable to do for me what I should have been doing, because like I said, I was practically in my bed just rocking. Every time I went to my doctor's office, I'm rocking, I'm shaking, I'm crying. And he's like, Beverly, you got to see somebody about this. And they kept wanting to adjust my medications. I said, look, the medication is the problem, is what I'm going back home to. I said, till this story gets fixed, they're going to keep coming at me. That's when my doctor got on board and started writing them letters. I said, you can raise my medicine as long as you want, but the situation is not going away. So, when I was having these panic attacks and everything, I had to go to the hospital because that was the start of the PTSD. And they said, Miss McLeod, COVID and everything going on, you don't need to keep running back and forth to the emergency room, because the only thing that we're going to do is give you a shot so that you can calm and get some rest, and then we have to send you back home. I said, well, you know, they said, we don't want you to do that no more. So they gave me a doctor, and bless her heart, Miss Patel, she gave me access to her messaging, her access to go into it and leave something, if I needed something, because they're trying to adjust my medications to help me with this PTSD. And she says, all you got to do, your son or you, go into your chart, which is my chart, and tell them if I need something, if the medications make me feel this way. And she said, I will make an adjustment or assist you if you need something. I will call the pharmacy and put in an order for a prescription. And so what happened was, I was downstairs for 2 days with the property manager and owners that came in that evicted Peabody Properties. And like I said, they were telling me, you deserve to stay here and give us a chance to make you feel like you're a human being and all of this. So for 2 days, they were telling me everything. And they were letting them know that, man, they said the stuff they had written in her folder and all the lies, they said, you don't even want to look at her folder. And I was shocked, because they had a court order to let me go through the folder when Greater Boston Legal Services was there, but they wouldn't even do that. I know this is a long, lengthy story, but America, please be patient with me, because I don't know how many other families and with elderly people, even women and men with children, that they pull this junk with. See, I'm the only one that spoke out. So in the meantime, I don't want to go too far. What was I just referring to?
You're referring to downstairs talking to them.
Oh yeah, and you know, when you're getting to that point, all the years of just try to sit down, lay down and watch a good movie, but I couldn't get my mind to fixate on the TV, because it's going through all the things that they said and all the things that I had been written down and wanted to, the protection and the service, even from the Boston police. I was like, wow, my story's now finally here, and the management knows what went on. And they're apologizing to me for it. So I called my doctor's office and I said, look, I just want to get some sleeping pills because I can't even watch TV. I just want a good 8 hours sleep. So I had no idea that the Boston Police Department picks up on those calls, and they use the company called Best. Okay. Now, here's how they started. They said, well, you just can't call your doctor's office and have them write you a prescription. I said, yes, I can. No, it does not work that way. I said, yes, that's the way me and my doctor have it set up. You know, and I said, damn, all I want is one sleeping pill. You know, I'm not asking for anything but a sleeping pill so I can get at least 1 8 hours sleep because, you know, it was exertion after pleading and trying to get some justice for being hated for being black and low income. So the ambulance came. I went down to the office for some reason, and they said, well, we want to come out and check your vitals. Is it okay? I said, well, yeah, if I need to go to the hospital, if something is wrong with my vitals, yes, I would love to go to the hospital. So when they came, they wouldn't come in with any equipment. The Boston police had knocked on my door before to let me know the ambulance was down there. And I looked at them and I said, what are you doing at my door? I said, what are you doing at my door? I don't trust you. I'll get the hell away from my door. And I closed the door on them. And I went downstairs to tell management, why are the police at my door? And the ambulance people were down there. And they said, well, we'll take you out to the truck and let them do your vital signs. I said, why do I have to go outside to the truck? Now, this is in front of the property manager and the owners of this facility. And they said, well, just come on and get in the van. I said, why are you insisting that I get in this van? Oh, so we can take you to the hospital. I said, look, I don't need to go to the hospital. I said, are you not going to take my vital signs? And they said, no, we want you to come get in the van and let us do it there. And I said, you know what, I'm going upstairs. And I came back to my apartment. So Best works for the police department. So I got a call. I'm thinking it's my doctor's office. And she said, oh, what's your vital signs? I said, I don't know. They wouldn't take it. Well, do you mind if I send them back out and let them do your vital signs? I said, sure. I mean, if my blood pressure, everything's high, you know, and they feel like I need to go to the emergency, but right now I just need to get some sleep. So next thing I knew, the Boston police was coming through my door, and the EMS is coming through my door. The property management called my son from his job and said, you know, you need to get to your mother's house because the police and the ambulance is here. They didn't know what was going on. So when my son came through that door, I was so frustrated with this woman. I said, Anthony, will you please tell her that I don't have to go to the emergency room? All I need to do was call my doctor and she was doing the prescription. And he said, yes. And then insisted. Now I'm going to ask my son to put the camera on me for a minute. I had 2 policemen standing here. I had my son about here. And there was the EMS dude about here. And there was 2 more EMS men about here. And the women from Best was here. And there's the police at my front door. They are all out in the hall. So, so they Article 12 me. They said, no, you're coming with us. And I said, what for? They would not explain anything to me. They said, well, we need to take you to the hospital because they're going to take me to the hospital for a sleeping pill? Really? I told my son, man, this ain't right, this ain't right, this ain't right. And they said, you're coming with us, and I was right here. I said, no, no, no. And I don't know if I fell out or fainted because I hit the ground here, but they said that I didn't fall. No. But before this, I asked the cop, I said, look, I don't trust you policemen, period. I said, I got 2 of y'all down there under investigation already. He said, "Man, this is video cam." He said, "You see her wearing it? We're going to make sure that the truth is told." Okay? That's what we're here for. You know, to make sure there's no hanky-panky thing going on. But they wrote a police report that said, now you see this little tight hair with the people, said I was, you know, circling around and saying, "I'm going to kill myself, I'm going to overdose on heroin, and I'm going to take overdose of pills." And I'm like, what? I couldn't believe that police report. So me and my son, I had my son request the audio, because the audio don't match up with what the policeman says. And they told me that they could not provide me with the police audio because they needed to protect me. I guess protect me from myself. They couldn't give it to me because they have to protect the people on the video. The victim and the people in the video. I'm the victim. How are you protecting me from me? And I want a copy of this to show that this police report is another fake police report. So I got involved with OPAC. OPAC is the organization Mayor Marty Ward signed that January before he left office. And it's a thing that protects minorities, blacks, indigenous people from trying to report bad cops' conduct to find out if they're following police procedure, that they can't investigate anything that's under investigation with Internal Affairs. But as long as it hasn't been reported to them, they can come in and do an independent investigation. So I have that day under investigation, and this happened in June. So here's what they did. They forced me out of my apartment, which is kidnapping. Strapped me out there in the hallway. Before I let them go, my son came out my bedroom and handed me my shoes to put on my feet. Now, I got blisters and bandages all over my feet because of my ulcers from the bad treatment and not being able to take care of myself the way I should have been able to do. So this nasty EMS guy, my son trying to hand me my shoes, and I went to go, and the policeman closed the gap. And I said, "I can't put no shoes on my feet." They said, "No, we've been here long enough already." When we got downstairs, they kept asking me, "Where do you want to go?" I said, "Well, if you're going to insist on taking me to the hospital, take me to Boston Medical. That's where my hospital is." But before then, they were telling my son, "Don't take her to let's not take her to Boston Medical. See, they have a plan. They ain't doing nothing for her. Let us take her someplace where they really going to help her." Help me with what? Get 8 hours sleep? Ooh, Lord have mercy. So, by the time they got me to the ambulance, one dude didn't really know what's going on. He said, "Okay, what's the destination?" type of thing. And they pulled on his, I've seen him pull on his. We have a destination already down here for her. So they didn't tell me where I was going. They did not tell my son where I was going. He was in the ambulance with me. They said, "Well, where else would you like to go? Do you want to take?" I said, "Well, you don't want to take me to my hospital. Take me to Brigham and Women's." That's when he pulled them through. And they didn't tell us where we was. And they took me to Beth Israel Hospital Psychiatric Ward. And I haven't been there since Evans. And I've been married since then. Evans was my first marriage. McLeod is my second marriage. And my mother just died at Beth Israel Hospital, so that would have been the last person I wanted to go through the emergency room. I was supposed to be going through the emergency room to, get assessed. But they put me in a psychiatric ward. There, by the grace of God, my son, because there's a hospital, you can't have anybody accommodate you. And this woman was screaming the whole time, "You violate my rights, you violate my rights." And I said to my son, "I am so glad you're here." So my son was sitting there trying to get the doctor on the phone because he used my chart to get her to respond to what's going on. And one person called, but it was the lady from Best that the police used. And he thought it was my doctor's office. He said, "Look, this is her doctor's office on the phone. They would like to talk to you." The lady said, "They don't work here. And this is our hospital." They said, looked at me, told me, "We're going to give you a new psychiatrist, a new social worker. We're going to diagnose you from day one, and whatever you've been through in your life and in your past, it doesn't matter anymore because you're in our house now." And I was shocked. And then the other lady came in. The nurse was much nicer, you know. She said, "I don't even know why you're here. There's nothing about suicidal." But according to the Boston police, I was rated suicidal. So my doctor got through, and the doctor was in the room with me at that time, and he says, my son said, "This is her doctor. Would you talk to her doctor?" He said, "Sure." So he said, "I'm going to excuse myself, and I'm going to go out here and talk to your doctor. Then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to pull your son, and I'm going to go out here and talk with him." I said, "Okay." After my son came back in, he said, "I talked to you. Talked to the doctor. I talked to your son." He said, "I don't even know why you're here." He said, "I'm getting ready to process you out of here right now." He said, "Now I gotta go and call this person back and find out why they put a Section 12 on you. They did it because of police retaliation." Okay. But they don't even want me to have the video. Now, I also filed a complaint with the EMS guy because he's the one who told the white guy, they call the white guy with the white shirt, he said, "Take her." I was shocked as hell. I'm pleading, begging with my son. They can't do this. This is kidnapping. They can't do this. He said, "Mom, there's nothing I can do." He said, "If I do anything, they're going to arrest me." He traumatized me and my son. Oh, Lord have mercy. Now, I got 5 EMS people that were here. And they interviewed all but one. One of them quit his job and left the state of Massachusetts. That was what the investigator said. Quit a job and left the state of Massachusetts. That didn't want nothing to do with what the crime they committed. Okay. And the other EMS saying, "Well, we've asked her over and over again was she feeling suicidal, and she's always said no. Nothing about the comments or anything that these cops accused me of." And I'm like saying, damn, were they in the same apartment? Because 5 EMS people, now there was no need for 5 EMS people to be here. And they stayed in my apartment over 50 minutes. Because they kept trying to get me to voluntarily walk out of here and let them put me somewhere. And because I didn't do it, they said threw their hands up, "We've been here long enough, let's throw her out of here anyway. Let's take her." That's kidnapping. All because a few bad cops, and when we went downtown, because I was trying to get this video through the courthouse, me and my son was talking to the guy, and I said, "Well, maybe not all policemen is bad." He said, "I wish they would hire some good ones." Now that's a cop talking about the cops in Boston. In this district E13, they are corrupt. Anytime you abuse the elderly, I'll be 65 years old this year. Anytime you abuse a person like you did me, you failed, like I told him, you failed to protect me. But you're going to protect these haters, these criminals for hate crime and causing me. I never studied in my life. Always been a strong individual. You know, well educated. Professional as a job. Always, any job I've ever had, I've always been a lead because I've always been promotable. And for these people to treat me like I'm nothing, Now I got a letter from MCAD saying that they closed this case because they couldn't find nothing. And all the evidence that I got, Boston Housing Authority is vouching for me, Greater Boston Legal Services is saying, wow, you need to get up out of there, and they put me on a super priority move. And my doctors, you know, they're like, they terrorized her. But I just found out Massachusetts was awarded over $483 million and some change to help the low-income housing people, to house people, and to also help from being evicted. They have funds for that. But this is what is coming through. Peabody Properties is considered one of those high people that do these contracts to be able to build these buildings, and they promise so many units for low-income people so that we can be entitled to the same standard. I have worked all my life. I have Social Security disability because I've worked all of my life. I paid into the system, and because I don't have millions or thousands of dollars, don't mean that I'm not entitled to live comfortably, have stainless steel, everything, washer and dryer in the bathroom. The Boston police felt that I wasn't entitled to that. And Peabody Properties felt that I'm too good to be around the other tenants that pay full market rent. Because even in here in a black neighborhood, in Latino neighborhood, there were more majorities in this building than was minority. And I want, and I'm asking America to share the story, because I spoke up. They wasn't expecting me to make a comment about what went on. And to think that MCAD wrote back and said they're closing this because they have no finding. You didn't even talk to the people that was credible. You didn't. They even asked me for Charmaine's child because they wanted the eviction. They wanted the firing of Peabody Properties from this property. So they have all of this evidence, but they're not going to charge Peabody Properties or anything because of that $483 something million. This is about politics. So I'm battling with this. Who am I? Am I not worthy enough to get protected by the law? Am I not worthy enough to live comfortably? Why do you feel that because I am black and I'm a female, and your attitude is we can get away with this because you ain't got no credibility? As far as the state of Massachusetts is concerned, it's got to be your fault. I went to the mayor's office. I went to, Lord, let me leave them out. The Attorney General's office. Called my house because they heard about a story about this woman in Massachusetts in 1970 got her mother good kids off of welfare. My son said, yeah, that's my mother. So I spoke with him. Now, Massachusetts, in the mayor's office, know all about this. Because if I call the 311 number and I say Beverly McLeod, right, you can feel the difference in the voice. And all the mayor's office is a referral service. They don't deal with any issues. Now, I went to the mayor's office and the Attorney General, they have the Civil Rights Division there. For 2 years, I filed an application. My son filed an application. After that phone call, he said, well, hey, I'm behind time. Let me fill out do the application. So he did it with my son. Haley, okay, just got promoted to the governor's office, did nothing. The Civil Rights Department wouldn't even contact me. All I got is this paperwork sitting there. No one ever came to me out of the 2 years and said they wanted to go on with this case because they don't want nothing against Peabody Properties. So they're trying to squish everything that I could come up with, but like I said, I'm not going away. Boston, Massachusetts, I'm not going away. Okay? Somebody's got to tell this story, and I'm going to tell it. I got people that are afraid for me right now for coming out with this information. Okay, I tried addressing CNN. I tried, putting some light on this. I tried Channel 7 News. I tried Channel 4 News. I tried Channel 25 News. I tried Channel 5, and I couldn't get anyone to pick up this story because I don't know, but everybody knew about this money coming in. Because even at one time the cop asked me when I said that they're trying to build this area to be like a new coffee square, I got the reaction, "Who told you that?" They wanted to know how did I know about this? And the plans and the developments are happening right outside my window. They got 2 brand new buildings. They're still building on the outside of my door, across the street from me. I've been here 13 years. Like the community builder said, I deserve to be here and give us a chance to treat you like a human being. And MCAD can't find no discrimination in that. Shame on you. Now they took my case away from Eric Bowes. And they took it and put it in Springfield, Mass. And they assured me that Miss Melissa Sickle, she's going to handle this and she's going to do this right and she's going to be very thorough. Okay? When I talked to Miss Sickle, I said, this lady wants to tell you everything that Peabody, their rebuttal is a lie. Because they got fired. Well, I need their information, I need their firing thing. It's going in, the agency is not dealing with this. So they're letting Peabody Properties know that anybody under Peabody Properties, they're not going to do nothing for you because there's too much money that they put into Boston to build these places. So they don't want, I guess Massachusetts will owe them and after they have to sign them contracts to somebody else. I don't know what this story is, but I'm only thinking, I can't make sense of any of this. And that's the reason why I needed to sit up there and make this video. Not only is the Boston police corrupt and trying to protect them from doing what they're doing by saying, oh, you can't file a police report or sabotaging their cases because they didn't want nothing on them. And Peabody Properties, the MCAD, they're supposed to protect people, the housing divisions from stuff like this happening. Can't find nothing? If there's a lawyer out there, I need you. And I'm even more shocked at the NAACP. Now, this Miss Anderson is the city councilwoman for this district. Called me 2 days ago. And she said, I want to know where you are with this. And I said, well, kind of upset because. And she said to me, she says, well, you keep us informed of what's going on and let us know what we can do to help you because we really want to rally around you. They sent MCAD 2 requests to call me. She sent over an email to them that they needed to get in contact with me. There are no offices. They got offices in NAACP in Roxbury and Mattapan, but no people to man it, no people to answer the phone, so they're just dead offices. I don't know how to end this, but ask you all for your comments and your support. Because if they did this to me, they don't want to know how many other cases here in Massachusetts that these people didn't feel that they could stand up to this and go through this. They ruined me.
Yeah.
They ruined my health. They attacked my dignity. They even tried to take my companion pet away from me. I'm the only one in this building that gotta have a companion pet. They gotta have a pet. In order to have a pet, it's gotta be a companion pet. Because they took me to court and tried to get me out of here, and they said, well, she ain't leaving. Let's try to take away her animals. You know, she's gonna go for animals got to go. My doctor was so furious. He said, no. He says, I'm gonna get that protection letter, and they're not gonna do this to you. They've done enough. I need help, America. If this goes viral, I need help. This is kind of harassment and humiliation no one should have to endure, to the point that they attack my health. And they threw it up in my face that if you report us again, I got a threatening letter that we can lie on you and they're going to take our word over yours. And no matter where I went, even the Attorney General's office calling me, wanting to find out who I am with my mother, the story about my mother getting her kids off the welfare. We were never raised on welfare. Best schools in Boston, all Catholic. Back in 1970, that didn't happen. Most black families were going through public schools. But my mother wanted us to have the edge above. That's why she was a hard-working woman, to do what she did for her kids. My mother was a part of Jim Crow. And she always told me, she said, even when this started, she said, Beverly, them people want you out of there. And it's going to be a hard battle and a hard struggle. You got everything sold up. This kind of crime that they committed against me, I can't get my day in court. Because the police department under Internal Affairs had a year to do their investigation. Like I said, Paul Joseph got his done. But this Charles Moore, I called him in September of last year and I said, well, the year is here. OPAC is waiting for your decision to find out what you decided in this so they can come in and do their independent investigation. And he said, well, the officer's been out sick. I said, my mother just passed away. And she had more access to a doctor than anybody. And I said, you mean you can't talk to him? Well, every time I go to make an appointment to go see him, he's busy. And every time he wants to come in and talk with me, I'm busy. It'll be 2 years, September of this year, till his year has expired. The other guy, Paul Joseph, he said, I'm quitting anyway. So. But the thing was to see if they followed police procedure. Falsifying a police report and lying is not police procedure. Why can't you all do the right thing and protect and serve instead of serving corrupted people that do things to hurt people? I pay taxes, I vote. I'm the person that you're supposed to protect and serve, whether I pay taxes or not. I still am entitled to the law's protection. And Boston, Massachusetts Mayor and Miss Haley, the governor, oh, don't let me forget Mr. Thomas. Mr. Thomas called me from the governor's office before this chick got in there and said, Miss McLeod, you need to get away from that precinct and you need to get away from this area that you live in there. He said, I don't feel safe for you. I don't feel safe for you. But here I am. What caused me PTSD? Took a happy person and just ruined her because you felt that I'm low life, that I'm a destructive person. You don't even know me. Nothing about my education, my achievements, no nothing. All you see is a black woman in low income housing because I can't work anymore. I'm on disability, been on disability since 2003, but continue to work because I had a kid that I had to put through high school and graduate school and all of that needed extra income. So whether I hurt or pain or anything, I was still a working, functioning person. And now for you to treat me like this, like I'm nothing, have no access to have this, I don't deserve it, please. Please, do the right thing, Massachusetts. Do the right thing and convict these cops. Why am I still waiting when they had a year and it's going into 2 years? What's wrong with you Boston commissioners? You don't know how to make a decision? What they did was corrupt. That's all I got to say. Thank you all for listening and follow me through this.